So hi everyone, welcome to your Pedia and welcome to the series of SAT, that is Reading and Writing with me. I'm Shobha, your SAT mentor. Now the basic purpose of today's video is that I have seen that there is a common question in the minds of students that ma'am, what kind of vocabulary do come up in SAT? Or what are the vocabulary questions? What are the questions in SAT which are based on the vocabulary part? So from which segment they do pop up? So all these questions, and to clear all the doubts, I'm here and today I'm going to guide you with an example. Now the very first thing you need to remember is that the questions of SAT, or you can call it out the vocabulary of SAT, is not that tough. It's not that tough as compared to the GRE. Some students feel that ma'am, the GRE have a lot of high frequency words. Is the vocabulary which is there in SAT the same level? No, it's not that. There, yes, you have to rote memorize some of the words, but in SAT, no memorization, no rote mortification of any of the word is needed. The best part is that the vocabulary of SAT is precisely based on the context part. What the statement wants to say you, on the basis of contextual, you can hack the word and you can reason out what is the meaning of that particular word in the vocabulary. Now see, in case you have a doubt like what does the vocabulary questions do look like, I would say it out as that the new digital SAT, I'm not talking about the old one. The old digital SAT, old SAT was quite different from the new digital pattern. It's quite easy also, I would say it out. It has one reading and one writing section which is broken down into 4 important domains. Now, when in my last video I talked about is that there are 4 important verticals from which the question actually pop up. It's your crafts and ideas, it's about English conventions, it's about your ideas and information, it's about the expression of ideas. All these important segments, and this thing I've already explained in my previous video also, like what each section comprises, what kind of questions are being asked. In case you missed it out, please go and watch those videos because it's very important from the point of view of the examination. Now, the reason why I'm talking about is when the question appear from the vocabulary section, we are practicing easier level, moderate level, harder level questions in SAT. Through my every video, I try to come up with some questions which are based on these modules. The vocabulary question is from one particular segment, and that segment is your craft and structure. Only from this particular structure, you can call it out, the vocabulary skill is tested, not from any other structure, right? So now it is like, what do the SAT vocabulary questions do look like? Before giving you an example, I would like to explain you one important statement. You all know that College Board conducts this examination. Now what they are targeting is, now listen to this thing very carefully. Students will use comprehension. That is, comprehension means understanding, comprehending the text, understanding the text. Vocabulary, analysis, synthesis and reasoning skills. So you have to break down the things into similar portions. You are to, whenever the punctuation marks is there, break down the words. Try to synthesize this, understand, collaborate the meaning of the statement. Reason out your skills and knowledge, like reason out the skills. Does that blank require a positive word, negative word? What kind of a context that word actually requires, that blank requires? To understand and use high frequency words and phrases in context. Evaluate text rhetorically, understand it out, read it out, and make connections between topically related text. The last line is very important. That is, you have to make the connections between the statements, right? So the best part in the digital SAT is that the question level is very easy. The vocabulary is going to be based on the context and you don't have to rote memorize it. So first thing which I would like to answer. The level of difficulty is also medium level. It's not very tough. Even if you will see the words, I will keep on adding in my series some easier questions, moderate questions, and you can say the harder level questions. And you will see through these 3 domains that the questions are not very tough. The vocabulary which is being asked is not very tough. It is all about understanding that statement very precisely. Now see, they are talking about that the SAT vocab words are less important on current SAT than it was in the old SAT. Why? Because the old SAT was all about sentence completion problems. But right now, we are having this made vocabulary like you will have to, you had to memorize the words. But currently it is one reading passage and one writing passage. You have to read it out, you have to understand it out, and you have to answer it out. But before it was like you would talk about us, you had to memorize dozens of obscure words and answer question that dealt with isolated sentences. There was isolated sentences, but now it is making connection between topically related sentences. That is the entire difference between the old one and the new one. Now, what can make you understand this thing much better is through a question which we will practice now. Now see, this is a statement which is being given. I always tell one thing whenever we are to solve it out. Whenever you see punctuation mark, please 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it is 5, and then it is, okay, so 5 punctuation marks, we divided this statement. Now read it out. The relationship of the vampire and his assistant seemed to have been reversed. Okay, so there was a relationship which existed between two people, one vampire, one his assistant, and we feel that the relationship is reversed. What were the roles of the vampire are performed by the other person and the vice versa. And Igor, name of the person, Igor, now in his early 20s. Now they're saying that Igor is there and he's in early 20s. He was the authoritative one. Okay, so the person is quite authoritative. Since boyhood, he had been taking on one responsibility after another. He was authoritative, he's taking the responsibility until what? Until comprises there is going to be a kind of change in the statement, a kind of a contradiction may arise. He had left the vampire with nothing. Now, he was taking the responsibilities until jab tak he had left this vampire with nothing to perplex him, but how to while away the hours. While also brings a contradiction, and while means that is termed as having the best of the time, to enjoy the hours, to enjoy the player time, right? So that is to enjoy the time, to have the player, to have the good moments. So it's a positive one. If it is positive, it would be he had been left with nothing to dash him but to enjoy him when the servants went. Now when the servants were busy and Agar was searching out for brains. So it is, if one case it is like maybe he had been left with nothing to perplex him, nothing to bother him, something like that, because otherwise that is why he was chilling. If there is no trouble in your mind, then only you can chill. So that is a word which you can denote as a nearer one. That is which matches with perplex and is a kind of a shadow word for us. Now let's see what the options we have. So these are the options, and what chooses in this sentence. Perplex most nearly means what? You are given with the 5 options. Is it trouble? Oh yeah, it can be. We were thinking about it. Bewilder, to get confused. But vampire was not getting confused with anything. Then is astonish, to get surprised. Was it like surprise and while he was enjoying the hours? Not relevant. Entangle, again it's kind of a puzzled one only. Embarrasses, when you are feeling some kind of humiliated in a disappointed manner. Now see, you have to understand the context. Though these are very nearer meaning, perplex denotes all the meanings and they are very near synonyms to one another. But we will say that the trouble matches the best because the vampire was left nothing to bother him, to trouble him. Only then he could enjoy the hours. Only then he could enjoy the rest of the hours. So here it is. Take that myself and start reading with you. Only the answer that is directly supported by the context of the passage is acceptable. In this case, the answer A is trouble. The vampire has no responsibility to worry about and so has nothing to bother or trouble him. Even though all the other answer choices technically mean perplex, they were quite nearer to perplex. No other answer fits in the context of the statement. So this is something I wanted to explain you about. That the SAT questions in the old SAT, that was only a sentence completion and it was quite isolated. But today in the new digital SAT, it is based on a context one. It's getting like one sentence is getting attached it is like making connections between the topically related sentence statements, and that's how the text or the statements get proven. So that was my task for today, to help you out in explaining what kind of a vocabulary questions do look like, how the questions from crafts and structures do pop up. And yes, I am coming soon with more and more videos where you will able to understand the questions, the pattern of questions in SAT, easier level, moderate level, harder level, and then only you can practice and practice and practice, and practice is going to make you perfect. All the best, stay tuned for more videos and keep on following a good routine so that you're able to crack the SAT with me. All the best, take care, keep following the series. Bye bye.